yeah, Conor McGregor follows me on Twitter. Like, I was told that as well the other day by my brother's friend. So, things like that are like massive.
Superstar, what is up, Fiat? You're the next big thing, guys. Look at your goals. Great to see it.
Dakota Diva just dropped a bombshell that has the MMA world reeling, revealing that Conor McGregor tried to recruit her to the UFC while Dana White was showing strong interest, leading fans to believe the deal was already sealed, but instead, she slammed the door shut and ignited a full-scale PFL versus UFC war.
Digging deep for sure. Santos is in big trouble. She's in big trouble. Dakota Dicha to the body.
She's just 15 with a flawless 12-0 record. The undeniable face of the PFL, featured on billboards, starring in promos and headlining main events. Pushed harder than anyone in the organization. Yet here's where it gets controversial. That didn't even include her in this year's tournament. Sidelining the reigning champion due to politics, matchmaking complications, and the looming threat of the UFC.
I'm just like, get me anything, literally. But like you said, it was kind of, it's hard. I get it's hard for PFL. They've put all the girls in the tournament, and then now they need to find someone that's going to kind of give me a good competition. They can't give me someone that's, just kind of signed to the PFL and not really had that much experience, because it doesn't make sense. I've just beat Santos very easily. I think that's another thing that I have to understand is, like, if I'd had a 5-round war with Santos, there would have been a few more people in there that would.
At BKFC 71, Conor McGregor, Mr. Conor, was spotted hugging Dakota and telling her straight to her face, "You're the next big thing, baby," sparking a social media frenzy as fans tagged Dana White. UFC hype accounts dubbed her the future of the flyweight division. And many assumed it was the beginning of a UFC fast-track signing until Dakota threw a shocking curveball that changed everything.
Right now, looking at the two people who are fighting for their belt, you could beat them right now. Grasso, Valentina, Shevchenko.
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah, I definitely think I'd be up there.
Your skill set matches up perfectly with theirs. It's not like they're wrestlers or anything like that.
No, and I think we'll see that when I win this season now, and I say I beat someone like Liz Carmouche and Talia Santos. As soon as I've beat them, I think, what else can people expect other than greatness from me?
Instead of chasing UFC gold or riding McGregor's cosign into the octagon, Dakota shocked everyone by saying no and confirming she's staying in the PFL, admitting she was gutted about not being placed in this year's tournament, but leaving the decision up to the promotion, which has now booked her for July's PFL Champion Series card with no opponent yet announced. The truth is, Dakota Diva is PFL's biggest weapon in the women's market, and losing her to the UFC wouldn't just mean losing a fighter, it would mean losing their brand identity. A fact Dana White knows all too well, fueling rumors of a massive UFC offer, while PFL founder Don Davis reportedly held a high-stakes meeting with her that was less of a welcome-back chat and more of a name-your-price conversation, because if she stays, she remains queen of the division, but if she leaves, the PFL's women's flyweight scene collapses overnight, setting the stage for a full-blown UFC versus PFL war with Conor McGregor backing her, Dana White ready to throw bags of cash, and the PFL refusing to budge, making this one of the nastiest fighter tug-of-wars in years. PFL star Dakota Dicha isn't just chasing belts anymore, she's hunting UFC royalty. And after demolishing Bellator standout Sumiko Inaba, she's setting her sights directly on Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, declaring with confidence, "I'm coming for your crown." Dakota Dicha, 27, boasts an undefeated 15-0 record with only one fight ever going the distance, tearing through opponents like a buzzsaw in both PFL Europe and on the global stage. This year, she's chasing the $1 million PFL championship, but her sights are set even higher on the UFC flyweight title, with her latest win over Bellator veteran Sumiko Inaba ending in devastating, merciless fashion. And in a recent interview, she didn't hesitate when asked about UFC champions Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, confidently stating, "I could have the title if I went there. Yeah, I think I could beat Grasso and Shevchenko." That's not just confidence, it's a full-blown call-out, with Dakota making it clear she's not asking for an invitation but telling the UFC she's ready to walk in and take over. She dismisses critics who argue she hasn't faced top-tier names, pointing out that while her opponents may have close fights with others, they get finished quickly when facing her, as she makes them look like they don't even belong in the cage. And with her length, unorthodox striking, and killer finishing instinct, she believes she can not only compete with UFC champions but dominate them, even acknowledging the monumental challenge ahead after all. Alexa Grasso shocked the world by submitting Valentina Shevchenko, and Valentina remains one of the most dominant champions in MMA history. At for Dakota, taking out either woman isn't just another fight, it's like climbing Mount Everest with no rope, and she insists she has the tools, the confidence, and the mindset to make it happen.
And then who wins? Dakota versus Valentina.
You really make me say that. She's my favorite fighter, but come on.
Favorite fighter, number one.
Yeah, she is. She's always been my favorite fighter, Valentina. Wow. Yeah.
All time.
Yeah, all time.
Have you ever told her this?
I just think like she's just like an MMA athlete. Like,
yeah.
What can she not do? Like, she can grapple. If she needs to win by grappling, she can do it. If she needs to strike, she can do it. Like, I mean, so many people thought she was going to get a belt taken off her by the French girl, Manon
Fiorot.
First, Dakota has to handle business in the PFL, which means taking out names like Liz Carmouche, a former UFC title challenger, and Taylor Santos, the woman who came razor close to dethroning Valentina Shevchenko. If she clears that path, the UFC will have no choice but to take notice, leaving the million-dollar question: is Dakota Dicha the next queen of the flyweights, or just another hype train destined to crash against the UFC wall? One thing's certain, after her latest win, and the bombshell she dropped, the fight world is paying very close attention.
Announced that you had re-signed with the PFL. Congratulations. Are you happy with how everything turned out?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I am happy now in the end. It took a while. I mean, I fought last November, so it took a while for us to come to, something that was right for the both of us. But I'm happy now, I just secured my future.
Dakota Dicha just called out the queen of violence herself, Valentina Shevchenko, and while many assumed the undefeated, violent, and highly marketable British star would jump ship to the UFC in a move that seemed like a perfect Dana White signing, she shocked everyone by re-signing with the PFL, while still throwing shade at the UFC and keeping her future options wide open.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say Bellator has had Hawaii events.
Bellator could put on a fucking fight in the parking lot. Dude, I can't even believe you just said that. PFL could... You know PFL was here on Friday. Did anybody know that? You're the media guys. I didn't know till fucking Friday. They were selling tickets, buy two, get two free. I'm not busting on them. That's a fucking fact. They put out a memo, buy two, get two free. You're having a bad fucking week if those are the memos you're putting out.
Hey, Dana.
There were more people in my fucking green room tonight than there were at the fight.
Finally.
And now she's targeting the fight most UFC women won't even whisper about: Valentina Shevchenko, one of the most feared fighters in MMA history. And this wouldn't just be a crossover bout. It would be the first true PFL versus UFC women's super fight. The unspoken truth is that Dakota is a genuine threat, not just to Valentina but to the UFC's entire flyweight division. Because think about it, she's young, undefeated, a blonde striker with devastating knockout power, and, perhaps most dangerous of all, she's not under UFC control. This wouldn't just be about belts, it would be about promotional pride, and that's exactly why the UFC is staying quiet. Valentina Shevchenko is a legend, no doubt, but she's no longer untouchable, with Alexa Grasso exposing cracks, and Dakota, younger and hungrier, isn't afraid to say it out loud, making her message crystal clear. If Valentina's still on top when the time comes, she's an open challenge, a warning, a threat, and maybe even a prophecy. The UFC already hated losing Kayla Harrison, and now they're watching Dakota rise into the next breakout star without their banner, knowing that if Dakota versus Valentina happens and the UFC loses on its own turf, the myth that UFC is the only elite league crumbles, a reality Dana White knows deep down. Ever since Dakota uttered UFC champ versus PFL champ, social media has been ablaze, with some doubting she's earned it, others insisting Valentina would crush her, but the real fight fans recognizing this is exactly what women's MMA needs, whether Dakota's the future or just chasing clout. She's turning 27 and entering her prime. The UFC can't ignore her much longer. And with Dakota ready, Valentina legendary, and fans craving this super fight, the real question isn't if it happens but who breaks first: Valentina's aura or the UFC's grip on women's MMA. Dakota Dicha just sent a chilling message to the entire MMA world: blood on her elbows, fire in her eyes, and a resigning announcement that shook the PFL cage after dismantling Bellator veteran Sumiko Inaba in brutal, effortless fashion. This wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass in destruction. As the 8-1 Hawaiian warrior with a chin and a heart walked in ready for war, but Dakota arrived with knees, elbows, and pure malice, picking her apart for 15 relentless minutes until the scorecards read 32-24, a number that felt less like a fight result and more like a cry for help. From the opening bell, she went full Muay Thai monster, unleashing elbows sharp enough to sign their own PFL contract and knees that bent time, broke faces, and left Inaba stumbling, spinning, and bleeding. And when she possibly broke her hand, Medusal, she didn't slow down. She simply switched weapons like a boss, turning into a one-woman arsenal of kicks, knees, and left elbows, proving she could dominate with one hand and still dish out a career-altering beating. Then, just as fans thought the show was over, boom, Dakota announced she was staying with the PFL. No UFC, no Bellator, choosing to build her legacy as the undisputed queen, killer, and poster girl of the promotion, already ruling PFL Europe, conquering PFL Africa, and eyeing the million-dollar Kayla Harrison lane. Fans call her the Valentina of the PFL, but at just 26, she may surpass Valentina, Harrison, and even Cyborg, because she's undefeated, uninjured, and unchained with a fresh new contract. And as Cape Town witnessed her go supernova, Inaba lay, broken the cage, baptized in blood, and Dakota Dicha crowned herself ruler of the PFL kingdom.